You wake up, and the weariness is already there. It sits on your chest before you have even thrown off the sheets. Your limbs are heavy, your mind is clouded, and there is a quiet, dull ache behind your eyes. You tell yourself you just didn't get enough sleep. You blame the mattress. You blame the blue light from your phone. You promise yourself another cup of coffee, another weekend to catch up, another vacation to finally reset. But the vacation comes and goes, and the exhaustion remains. It remains because it is not your body that is tired. You are not suffering from a lack of sleep. You are suffering from a lack of self. You are utterly, entirely exhausted from the full-time job of managing the person you pretend to be. Look at your day. From the moment you step out of your door, you are on stage. You are a public relations manager for a client who does not really exist, an idealized, polished version of yourself. You craft your emails to strike the perfect balance of competent but not overly aggressive. You dress to signal to your peers that you belong. You curate your sentences in meetings so the boss thinks you are insightful, while ensuring your coworkers do not think you are a threat. You post fragments of your life online, carefully filtering out the mundane and the tragic, just to remind an audience of distant acquaintances that you are still here, still relevant, still happy. You are constantly calculating. If I say this, how will they react? If I do not attend this dinner, what will they assume? If I take this job, what will my parents think? If I date this person, how will my friends judge them? You are running a dozen simulations in your head at any given moment, trying to predict and control the thoughts of everyone around you. It is a terrible, invisible burden. No wonder you are tired. You are carrying the weight of 100 different minds. Nearly 2,000 years ago, a crippled slave named Epictetus walked the streets of Rome. He had no property, no legal rights, no power over his own physical body. His master could break his leg on a whim, and yet Epictetus was perhaps the freest man in the empire. He was free because he understood a brutal, liberating truth. He divided the entire universe into two categories: things that are up to us and things that are not. Our desires, our beliefs, our own choices, these belong to us. Everything else, our bodies, our wealth, our reputation, the opinions of others, does not. When you exhaust yourself trying to manage your reputation, you are trying to rule a kingdom that is not yours. Epictetus offered a remedy, though it is one that the modern ego violently rejects. He said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Read that again. Let it sink into the marrow of your weary bones. Be content to be thought foolish. We spend our entire lives terrified of looking like fools. We buy things we cannot afford to avoid looking poor. We nod along in conversations we do not understand to avoid looking ignorant. We stay in miserable relationships to avoid looking like failures. We are held hostage by the fear of being misunderstood. But what if you simply dropped the rope? What if you gave up the desperate need to be perceived correctly? Imagine a man who ruled the known world, a man who commanded legions, whose face was stamped on the coins in every citizen's pocket, whose mere whisper could alter the fate of nations. Marcus Aurelius had the ultimate audience. Every eye in Rome was on him. He could have spent his life bathing in their applause, agonizing over their critiques, desperately trying to maintain his godlike image. Instead, at night, in a cold tent on the frontiers of Germania, he sat by the dim light of an oil lamp and wrote a quiet reminder to himself. "It never ceases to amaze me," the emperor wrote. "We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." He saw the absurdity of it. We hand the keys to our peace of mind over to strangers we do not even respect. We let the clacking of their tongues dictate our emotional state. Marcus understood that fame and reputation are entirely worthless because they are bestowed by people who are themselves confused, mortal, and fleeting. Why do you care so deeply about the judgment of someone who cannot even manage their own life? You are terrified of the disapproval of a colleague who is just as lost as you are. You are seeking validation from an algorithm, from a society that does not know its right hand from its left. You are trying to impress ghosts. And you do this by borrowing against your own sanity. Seneca, the statesman who navigated the paranoid and lethal court of Nero, knew the crippling cost of living in anticipation of what others might think or do. He watched men twist themselves into knots of anxiety, trying to foresee the judgments and actions of the emperor and their peers. Seneca diagnosed this human sickness with a single, cutting observation. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. Your exhaustion is born in your imagination. It is born in the shower when you are silently rehearsing an argument you expect to have with your manager. It is born in your bed at 2 a.m. when you are replaying a conversation from 3 years ago, agonizing over whether you sounded arrogant. You are dragging yourself before an imaginary tribunal every single day, playing both the ruthless prosecutor and the exhausted defendant. The jury in your mind never sleeps. They demand a perfect performance. And so you bleed your energy into the soil, fighting phantoms. We must stop. We must rebuild the inner citadel. The inner citadel is the stoic fortress of the mind. It is a place where external judgments, insults, and misunderstandings cannot penetrate. But to raise the walls of this fortress, you must first accept that you will be misunderstood. You must accept that some people will think you are selfish, or lazy, or uninteresting, or strange. And you must let them. You cannot control the lens through which they view the world. Their perceptions are colored by their own traumas, their own insecurities, their own profound exhaustion. When they judge you, they are merely reflecting their own internal weather. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. Tomorrow morning, when you step out into the world, try an experiment. Refuse to be a public relations manager for a day. When you arrive at work and an email comes in questioning your decision, you will feel the familiar hot flush in your chest, the urge to justify, the urge to write a long, defensive paragraph proving how hard you work and how smart you are. Let the urge rise and let it pass. Respond with a single, polite, factual sentence. Offer no defense. When you sit at a dinner table and the conversation turns to achievements or status, do not insert your own. Do not embellish a story to make yourself the hero. Do not drop a name to prove you are important. Let an awkward silence hang in the air. Do not rush to fill it with your charm. Just sit there. Breathe. If someone explains something you already know, do not interrupt to show them you know it. Let them speak. If someone misinterprets a minor point you made, do not launch into a crusade to correct the record. Let them be wrong. Let yourself be misunderstood. Experience the terrifying, beautiful lightness of not needing to be impressive. Notice how much energy suddenly rushes back into your veins when you stop using it to hold up a mask. You will feel a quiet power growing inside you. It is the power of a person who no longer requires permission to exist. You were not put on this earth to be a mirror, constantly shifting your shape to reflect what others want to see. You are a fleeting arrangement of atoms, granted a brief flicker of consciousness in a vast and silent cosmos. Your time here is slipping through your fingers like water. Every ounce of energy you spend worrying about the opinions of the crowd is a drop of your own life that you will never, ever get back. Stop giving it away. Reclaim your borders. When the sun sets tonight and the house goes quiet, sit alone in a room. Look at your hands. Feel the breath moving in and out of your lungs. This is all there is. The ghosts of the office, the phantoms of the internet, the imaginary juries, they are gone. They were never real to begin with. Let them think you are a fool. Let them misunderstand your silence. Let them judge a version of you that died yesterday. They can keep your reputation. You will keep your soul.